Hi students, welcome back to class. Let's continue Evam Indrajit. In the last class I completed Act 1. Now let's move to Act 2. So we have seen Amal, Vimal, Kamal, Indrajit and the writer completing their education, getting job, right, taking examination and getting job. So now let's see what happens at the place of job. Are they happy? Are they contented? How is life going on? So that's what we have to see. So here the scene is office. So at the very beginning of Act 2, it's mentioned that an office, 4 chairs in a room. In another part of the stage, a big chair, a big table with a telephone on it. The writer is dusting the furniture, barely touching it with a duster. So now the writer just comes to the downstage and he says about the events that are happening here. So here it is an office and there are 4 chairs. So this section will show the place where the ordinary staff are seated. And there is again another chair and a table, and that's the place for boss. So at that time, the writer is the one who performs the role of the peon and he is dusting the furniture. So here writer just comes to the downstage and writer just says, from home to school, from school to college, from college to the world is an office. Like this one, a lot of business is transacted here, very important business. A lot of people work here, Amal, Vimal, Kamal and Indrajit. So this is again an office. So they have completed their education, so they've gone from the home to school and from school to college, and now they actually moved to the world. And the world is again the office now for them. So the world is also like an office only, as a lot of business will be transacted in this particular place. And this seems to be a very important place where very important businesses are carried out. And we can find Amal talking to Vimal, Kamal, Indrajit and all. So their daily conversation, the usual conversation we can find here. So Amal speaks about the train that has come late that day. It was it came at 8:52. There's an 8:52 train. That train happened to come late today, and there's a huge traffic jam. So the daily complaints we speak about when we speak when we come to the office, we say that there's a traffic jam, the train is late, the bus is late, so we are not able to reach on time. So all those things we can see. And Kamal happens to miss the tram at 9:13, and sorry, he happened to miss the bus at 9:13, and he because the bus is full, and he has to let that bus go without entering that. And then the usual thing, Amal just asks about his son, um, asks about Vimal's son, and Vimal asks about Amal's daughter. So they are actually talking about admission, the son's well-being, the daughter's admission. So the daily things we usually speak. And but another thing is that Indrajit has lost a pen, so he is asking Indrajit whether he has found that pen. So it seems that the pen is stolen. And now we can see all of them, that is Amal, Vimal, Kamal, Indrajit, all of them calling Harish one by one. So all of them call Harish one by one, and all of them actually ask one thing or another from Harish. So Harish is actually the peon in the office. The peon is performed by, the role is performed by the writer. I have already told you, the writer performs the role of the peon, and he performs the role of the boss that is mentioned in the slide. So here all of them call Harish, and Harish is asked many things. That means he is asked to bring many things at a time. So here Amal just asked him to bring water. Vimal asked him to bring Beetle Life and Sarda. Kamal asked him to bring cigarettes, and Indrajit tells him to post letter. So they just tell all those things, and they don't even give money. If he has to bring, he has to post a letter, he has to get money to post it. And if he has to bring Beetle Leaf and Sarda, he has to get money for that. Cigarettes, he has to get money to buy all those things. But nothing is mentioned here. They just ask this peon to bring all these things one after the other. So here it is mentioned that the writer does not move, nor did they give him anything. They don't even look at him. Then as usual, the conversation of pickpockets, okay, in the town and how it's bothering them. Then they speak about homeopathic medicine, then admission for third standard. So admission for the daughter. So even for the admission for the daughter of Kamal, that daughter has to write different tests, even English, Bengali, arithmetic. So all these tests have to be taken by the daughter, and the daughter has to pass. Then only they will be giving the daughter admission along with that birth certificate. So admission is very tough. Even in 1970s, admission is very tough. Okay, so that is what we see here. And now at the writer side, again, something's happened. The writer will come to the office, and when the writer comes to the office, all other people will be just standing up. So it is again, they just stand. No, they don't stand fully. It's as if they are just standing in a half price. Okay, so it's a kind of half price situation only, and the writer just go and he goes to the seat, and then as usual he has actually a lot of telephone calls. Okay, he's just taking the telephone, and he's just speaking to somebody over the telephone, and so that those conversation bits of this conversation can be heard here. So this writer is one who performs the role of the boss also. Okay, so that is what you have to remember. And again, after this is over, at the ML, Vimal, Kamal, Indrajit, all of them will be calling Harish, that is peon. So Harish is called, and then in one tray they will actually keep some files. So the file has to move from Amal's desk to Vimal's desk, then from Vimal's desk to Kamal's desk, then it has to go to Indrajit's desk. So it will be actually moving in that way. So it is mentioned that Amal will just take the file and he says Vimal Babu. So that will be taken to Vimal Babu's desk, and then from there it will be taken to Kamal Babu. So the writer takes Vimal's file to Kamal. Okay, so Vimal's file will be taken to Kamal, and Kamal's file will be taken to Nirmal Babu. It is mentioned, but Nirmal Babu is retired only. So that means, if you remember Nirmal Babu, the old person. So again it's taken to Indrajit. So in that way, one file will be moving from one desk to another. So once duty about that particular file is over, then it will be carried to the another person's desk. Then again from there it has to move to another person's desk. Then all these things have to be taken to the boss. The boss has to see all those things. So this is how actually offices will work. You know that. So here it is mentioned that then they'll be calling this peon, only one peon in the office, so they'll be calling this peon. Okay, so again and again they'll be calling him fast. So it is actually this peon does not have any time at all. Okay, it's just hurling from one table to another table. So the bell rings, the writer goes into the boss at the sound of the bell. So that means when the bell rings, it means then even somebody is required in the boss, the chamber of the boss. So then now the writer goes to that boss at the sound of the bell. So then again we have to remember that this is the writer only who has to take the role of the boss. So he will be seated there and he will be taking the role of the boss. So anyway, so Amal, Vimal, Kamal, all of them call Harish. Amal and Vimal call Harish. That means they want something to be done. So Harish has to do something for them. So at that time, Harish just tells that he has to get tea for the Sahib. So then that should be the first thing. That should be the priority. So whatever they have to get done from Harish should wait. So the writer takes a round instead of bringing tea and returns downstage. This is how it should be shown. Okay, so it is shown as if actually he goes out and gets tea, and then he comes back to downstage. And the writer just again in a philosophical way speaks about the life in the office. So what is happening in the office? So here he says, after the files, tea, then files, then snacks, then files, then tea, then files, then Trampus train. There are bigger offices where even more important business is transacted. There are files, then tea, then files, then lunch, then files, then coffee, then files, and then office transport, taxi, car. That means life is full of activities. So all those activities seem to be repetitive activities only. Every morning you wake up, you have to do your daily ablution, then you have to come to college, and you have to sit in the class. You have 1 hour will be over, the next person will come, the next person's class has to be over, then there will be the interval, then your usual conversation, then after that other classes. So in the same way, life goes on. So this is what we see actually in the office also. Office again, there will be some files, one file work will be over, then it will move to the next table, and then that file's work will be over, and after that there will be the tea break again. What do you say, some more work will be over, tea will be consumed, and then some snacks will be taken, and again more files. So after evening, when it is evening, then it's time for them to go out of the office. So this is how things are going on. So every day these activities keep on repeating one after the other. It's as if the life is moving like a machine. It's as if, all these people are working like machine. A kind of mechanical action can be seen here. Then the usual conversation also. Okay, then Amal just asked Vimal whether he's going to club that night. After the class, after their work, they'll be going to club just for some kind of relaxation. They may go to club. So again, he says that he does not have time for that. His wife has invited some friends. He has to go for that. And then Indrajit just speaks about his condition also. He does not have such luck. Then he cannot even get a taxi in time that morning also. So that is how things are going on. And again, we can see what happens in the chamber of the boss. So the boss is actually talking to somebody over the phone. That is the writer only. The writer who takes the role of the boss is just talking to somebody, and we can just hear bits of that conversation only. Hello, hello, yes, board of directors, all those things we can hear. And after that, he will be again dictating the letter. So the stenographer is again Manasi, that is the typist. The typist is Manasi. Manasi just goes to the chamber of the boss, and he dictates the letter. Manasi will write down the letter and she will type it. So that is how it is going on. So every day, this kind of activities will be carried out one after the other. So once that day's work is over, they just say that that's all, ladies and gentlemen. That's all. That's all. That's all. That means that work is done. They have actually some work to be done with the Miss Malhotra. So that is over. Their business transaction with Malhotra is over, and everything is over. So that is why they say that the work is done, and all other are relieved, because at least for some time they'll get some relaxation that the work with her is over. So they just feel happy, and they just tell others, okay, cheer up, buck up. So all those things they'll say. But after this, Indrajit is not happy. Indrajit does things that that the next day there'll be some other project, the next day there'll be some other work. The life just goes on like that. So writer just comes to Indrajit, and writer just asks whether he's waiting for something. So here we can see the writer turning into a peon. So the writer, when he turns into a peon, he comes to Indrajit, and he just asks this Indrajit whether he is looking for something. So Indrajit says looking for some file absolutely. Okay, so that is what he says. So, and the stage is the technique is in such a way that writer just takes it round and he becomes the peon. Okay, just by the motion, that movement itself, it is clear that he is changing himself into another character, that is the peon. So Indrajit says, okay, there is nothing at all, nothing. So we just ask question: is there anything except this kind of a life? Okay, daily one has to come to office, one has to go through the file, one has to see whether it is clear or not, then it has to be sent to the next person. So is there anything other than that? So writer is not able to understand what he is also searching for. Then and he writer just says that just to give the letter to there is some letter that has to be given to Amal Babu. So that file should be kept on Amal Babu's table, and there is another file that should be kept on Vimal Babu's table, and then another on Kamal Babu's table. So that is what he tells this peon. Okay? So peon just says, and after once this is over, he has to get the signature of the Sahib, and he says that he may not come tomorrow. So writer asks whether he's not well. So it's not that he may not feel well tomorrow. That's what he's telling. So that is Indrajit is again feeling tired. Indrajit again is trying to search for a meaning beyond that. Is there any meaning beyond that? Is the life just goes on in that way? So this kind of a life is not giving any kind of happiness. So that is what he thinks. So we think that if he's fulfilled one desire, okay, we'll be happy. But when one desire is fulfilled, we'll move to the next desire. So we'll be again, moving in that way again and again. So that cycle just goes on. So finally, we will not be feeling happy with anything. We'll not be feeling contented with anything. So that kind of a situation we can find in the character of Indrajit. And Indrajit is just trying to find a meaning beyond the life in the office. Is there any life beyond that? Is there any meaning beyond that? That is what he's trying to do that. And writer just says, Amal's left, Bimal's left, Kamal's also left. Only Indrajit sits there thinking. Now he is also left. And me, I'm thinking, yes, I'm thinking. I'm thinking, only thinking. So everybody has left, the work is over. So he is now just thinking. And he is not able to find the meaning of things around him. What is this life? Okay, how are things going on? Is it just a mixture of life and dust? So all those things are there. Now he just asks a question to auntie, that is mother. So auntie observes that her son is again thinking and thinking and thinking. So he just says that he is sitting and thinking. And these are the questions. These questions seem absurd to us. So, but in a philosophical way, actually, he's just trying to look at life. So he just asks this auntie, uh, what are you thinking about? Auntie just asks this question. Writer says, I'm wondering, who are we? Auntie, what's there to think so much about in that? You are you. Who else? So the question is that who is he? Okay, who, not just he, who are we? So that is the question here. So he says, okay, that's true enough, only we are us. I hadn't thought of that, I must admit. But what are we? Okay, we are us. Okay, we are, you are actually, you are you. We cannot define each person completely. It's beyond definition only. It's beyond understanding also at times. So then she just says, okay, that is okay, and he agrees. And he is just asking another question, but what are we? And he says, listen to him. What are we? You are all bright pieces of gems. That's what you are. You have got good degrees, good jobs. Right again. Okay, so they have good degrees, they have good jobs. So we try to define ourselves uh, in terms of the education we have, in terms of our family in which we are born, in terms of the job we have, in terms of the salary we have. So finally, when there is again a question in front of us, we are not able to answer the question, who are we? Especially the pandemic situation might have brought such a realization in our life. We have all these things, but in front of a virus, we stand helpless. So that is what, that kind of a philosophical question actually this hero, the Indrajit, is asking. And so auntie is not able to answer all those questions. So auntie just says that he's just babbling only. This some of the other questions he is asking. And next question he asks is again, why are they here? Is there any meaning for that? So no logical answer. So he has actually a number of questions. So for any of these questions, it's not possible to give any proper answer. And finally, auntie, that is a mother, just finds out one thing, that this boy is not married. Okay, that must be the problem. When he is married and when he has a number of responsibilities, he may not even have time to think about all these things. So then that will be the solution. That's what she thinks. And he just asks a question, why should he get married? Everybody gets married and he also has to get married. So that is actually the answer to many of the things we do in our life. Everybody does that, so we also have to do that. So, and this is what he says, writer's statement. Everybody does it. So, why should you sneeze? Why should you cough? Why should you smile? Why should you laugh? Why should you sigh? And why should you sigh? Everything is it. Everybody does it. That's why. That's the reason. Everybody goes to college. Everybody studies. So you have to go to college. You have to study. Everybody gets a job after his or her education. So you have to do that. Everybody gets married. So you have to get married. So that kind of a norm we all are following. Since all other people are doing some things, we are also following. We are not actually trying to find out whether we have to do it or not. So this is not actually satisfactory to the writer. So the writer just asks these questions. And again, it goes to again a kind of nihilistic way or a philosophical way. So here again he asks this question: why should you love? Why should you hate? Why should you suffer? Why should you blame it on fate? So why should you weep? Why should you cry? So all those questions. Okay, so just like things we find in an absurd theater. Okay, the futility of life. That is what the writer is pointing out. So the dramatist is pointing out the futility of life through the character writer. So Auntie is not able to answer these questions. Okay, Auntie, not just Auntie, even he also will not be able to answer any of these questions. Everybody does it, so we have to do. That's the only answer we can give. So anyway, Auntie just says that she has other work to do and she will not listen to any of these questions. And all these questions will be answered once he gets married. So then he thinks marriage and death, birth, then marriage, and then death. A long time ago, I read a beautiful story. I don't know whether you have read it or not. I've forgotten most of it, but there was a prince, there was a princess. After a lot of to do, they got married. Then comes the real point of the story. They lived happily and ruled over the kingdom of home. I can't remember the details, but I do remember that they lived happily ever after. You might have heard a number of stories in your childhood. Once upon a time, there was a prince, there was a princess, and once upon a time, there was a hero, heroine. At least you might have watched a number of movies, okay? Even romantic movies also, you might have watched. You might have seen the hero falling in love with the heroine falling in love with the hero, and then there are a lot of obstacles in the love affair, and finally getting married, and after that it's again Shubham. That is what you say, okay, as if everything is finished. So here it is usually we say, okay, and they lived happily ever after. So as if there is no story to be told after the marriage at all. So that is what we have thought about marriage and life. So once that marriage is over, everything will be settled. Once the marriage is over, there is no story to tell at all. There will be life will be full of happiness and all. But that is not reality. That is not the thing we find in the real life. And again, we see the writer taking us to the phase of marriage. Okay, so all these characters, Amal, Vimal, Kamal, all of them will get married. Okay, so that music will be there. So here Manasi will be the bride of each person. She will come as the wife of each person. She will come, even mother also. So she will be performing the roles of all these. She will be performing different roles in life. So here the first phase of married life is again bride and bridegroom. So that will be the time of goodwill and enjoyment. All joys of marriage life can be seen. Even before marriage, they will be full of love, courtship. So that is what we see here. So then it is actually shown by Dampadi, Jampadi, Jayapadi. Okay. So and it is again married life of Amal, Vimal, and Kamal is shown on the stage. Okay. So the different phases of married life, okay, that are actually shown. So that is also the different phases are shown through the lives of Amal, Vimal, and Kamal. So in the beginning we can find a music of the marriage, and then there will be Dampati, Jampati, Jayapati. Okay, so that is what is mentioned here. That means Dampati is again the first phase. That is again bride and bridegroom. So they will be coming as bride and bridegroom. So here it is Amal and Manasi. Okay, so they come as they get married, and the first stage of happiness of the married life. So Amal does not want to spend his time in the office. He comes back to home very early because he does not feel happy without his sweetheart. So here the sweetheart is waiting for her husband. So that period of the primary period of the love and happiness that we can find here. And now we are taken to the next phase of married life. So now actually they are now husband and wife. The phase of the lovers, okay, that honeymoon, that period is over. Now they are just husband and wife. Now we can see Vimal taking up the role. So Vimal is again in the morning. Vimal is just reading some newspaper, so he's fully involved in the newspaper and does not have time to look at his wife, and he does not have time to speak about anything. So the wife is actually waiting for this husband to talk to her, so she does not see that. So there is again the pain and the disgust in her, and she just asks Amal whether anything has happened that day, any calamity has happened that day, because he's fully involved in reading the newspaper. He's not even actually looking at the wife. And so he says, no, not nothing of that sort, because he does not have anything to talk. So he's been reading the newspaper, and the wife really wants him to take her for a walk in the evening, but he has some other things to do because he has to go for a favorite party. So that initial period of that romantic bliss has faded. Okay, so that is what we see. from the conversation of Bimal and Manasi. Now we are coming to the next phase, that is they have become parents. So that is shown through the life of Kamal and Manasi. So the young mother is waiting for the husband to come back. Her son is not well. Son is actually feverish. So the husband comes back very late only. So he has actually a number of responsibilities to do. He has to make money for the family. He is the one who is running the family. So he comes back at around 10 o'clock. So the wife is getting angry for that, but she cannot show that. And so she just asks for musambi, because this musambi has to be given to the child, because the child is anemic, so the child has to be given. But again, musambi is very costly and he is not afford to um, uh, pay for the musambi, and he is not able to bring that. And so here he says that the fruit vendor actually has more money and he is not able to do that. So this is how the married life of these three persons are going on. Okay, and after that, we can see the writer meeting Indrajit. We have to remember that Indrajit is not yet married. Okay, so all the other three have married and they are actually running their families, but Indrajit is not yet married. So then, so it's after 7 years that the writer meets Indrajit. So the writer just asks Indrajit about his life. So Indrajit has actually first worked in Bhopal, and after that he has moved to other places. He has moved to the cities like Bombay, Jalandhar, Meerut, Udaipur. So it's again a transferable job. So he has moved to different places. So he has actually seen the world around him, but wherever he goes, he sees almost the same kind of life only. He does not feel, complete happiness, or he does not feel contentment. He thinks that life is just moving ahead in that way, and he just thinks that at least in this country the life is almost the same only. And the writer just tells him about their thought of running away from the college. They have even thought of taking that train from Howrah station, and how they thought of moving away from their life. So even now the Indrajit thinks, what would have happened to him had he taken the train and gone away? The life would have changed or not. So he thinks that the life is just like what he has learned in the school textbook. Okay, it's like there's something like the geographical places he has studied in the school textbook. It's not beyond that, at least in this country. That is what he says. Now he thinks that if he goes to another country, life will be different. So at least that will be able to give him more meaning. So that is what he is thinking. So he has an interview for a job in Malaya. So he's just thinking of going to Malaya, and he just asks about Amal, Vimal, and Kamal. How are they? Are they doing well? So he says that they are all well only. They are married. They have got jobs, and they've got jobs, and they are married, and they have houses. They are all well. So even from the word that they are well, words they are well, writer is not fully convinced. Writer just says that it doesn't seem that they are actually well. So it says that they are happy, they are well only, they are doing well. But Indrajit cannot be happy with that kind of a life. So next question is about Manasi. Where is Manasi? Whether she is married or not. So immediately Indrajit cannot recognize that name, and then he understood, okay, that Manasi is again his friend, his cousin. So he says that Manasi is again working in a school in Hazaribagh. She is okay only, so just write letters. And whether she is married, that is the question. She is not yet married, and he is also not married. And Indrajit now thinks that if he had married Manasi immediately after the graduation, it would have happened. So without thinking, if we keep on thinking about something more and more, we won't be able to do at all. Okay, so he started thinking about marriage. Okay, after that, even Manasi also started thinking about it. So what happened is that they are not yet married. So again, we can just see their conversation. So we are actually taken back to the flashback. So there is a conversation between Manasi and Indrajit. So after getting job at Bhopal, actually he has approached Manasi, and he has asked Manasi to marry him. So there we can see Manasi's hesitation, and Manasi is not bold enough to come out of the chain restrictions on her, and she cannot actually boldly say that she wants to marry him. She really loves him, but she cannot actually take that initiative, and she cannot step forward to marry him. So the marriage does not happen at that time. Then again, he says that he wants to. So here, Indrajit says that, Indrajit really wants to marry her at that time. So Manasi thinks that, life is not just a game of dolls only. So if they marry, that may be some a game of dolls only. So she is actually scared of what will happen to them in future, how the society will be thinking about it. So all those things are there in her mind, and she is not able to take a decision. So here, Indrajit says that, one will not think about all those things. One will get, when one tries to get married, but all those hesitations and all those doubts, will not allow them to get married at all. Then writer just says, Indrajit, okay, life is just like that only. Sometimes we think that, life is just very very transitory only. It's again a mere existence at a for a mere second. But even then, that will also pass. So that is, but then we are given the talent to forget things. So the ability to forget about a past life also helps us to go ahead, because we know that we face many hard situations, many problems are there in our life. So even though there are many problems in our life, we just forget all those things and we try to move ahead. So that is what actually helps us. Um, And Manasi just says that there is an audacious assertion of life that claims immortality in its brief span. We know that life is transitory. All of us know that life is transitory. But we all know that life has to be lived. We have to live our life, even though it is transitory. That is why there is a bold assertion of life. Even when this is a spark, also we have to live. So that is what we understand. Now we can see the writer meeting Amal and women. So he asked each one of them how life is going on. Are they really happy? So Amal is not happy with the life now, because Amal has been working in a company, that is ABC company, for the past 6 years. And Amal has thought that he would be getting promotion, but the promotion is given to a Madrasi Babu, that is a South Indian. So he's not happy with that. He has even rejected the offer of another company, PQR company. So his thought of career advancement and how his hope of getting career advancement is gone. So that is actually the pain here. And now the next person he meets is Bimal. So Bimal is again happy only because he has a good job, and he is now moving to another place. He's moving to Ranchi, and his son is now sent to a school, a boarding school, because he does not know whether the school will be good there in Ranchi. So it's again a very prestigious residential school. So it is mentioned La Martiniere. So his son is sent to that La Martiniere school. And so they will be given the quarter there. So he will be okay then. And Vimal seems to be okay only. And now the next person we can see is Kamal. So Kamal also has his own job, but Kamal just asked the writer whether he is writing. So they asked both of them also, that is Amal and Vimal also asked the writer whether he has finished writing his play. The writer has not yet finished writing the play. So that is what he says. So Kamal asked the writer whether he is writing. So here writer says that he is not writing. So Kamal speaks about what's the disappearance of some habits. So he just thinks about the habit he had in his past life, how he used to play mouth organ, and that also stopped. And he just asks about the writer's marriage. Writer's, what is it? Just speaks about some insurance. Kamal is again working, but at the same time he has some other insurance policies also. He is an agent of some insurance policy, so he wants writer to take some insurance because the life should be insured. And here writer is asking in whose name it should be insured, because he is not yet married. So here says that let writer get married immediately, and then if he wants any insurance, let him contact Kamal. So Kamal is just running some side business so that he can make more money. So all of them are actually settled in a way, but we cannot say that any of them is very happy. They are now looking for other prospects to make more money. So that is how life just goes on. Okay, everybody seems to be thinking of other prospects to make more money. And now we can see, okay, these all those things I've told you. Indrajit works in different cities. Indrajit and the writer are not married. So this also I told you. And the next meeting, there is another meeting with Indrajit and Manasi. This is after many years only. So the same park, there is a meeting between Indrajit and Manasi. So Indrajit says that he is going to London and he has to study in London, and he has enrolled in engineering school there. The passport is ready and he will be leaving for London. And now actually Manasi is getting ready to get married. She wants Indrajit to marry her, and she says that why can't Indrajit settle in one place, and here why can't it improve the matters? So he's asking what the meaning of the improvement also. It's not able to find out even what improvement means. Okay, that means whether he'll be happy there or not, he does not know. Whether he'll be contented there or not, he does not know. But he's just trying. So whatever he feels like doing at that moment, he does. That is the only thing he can tell now. So here he says that he does not know whether he'll be able to make Manasi happy, whether he'll be happy with the marriage. He does not know anything now. If he had married Manasi immediately after getting job, it would have been done. But as days have passed, years have passed, they are not able to take a decision. Now Manasi in a state of mind to get married to Indrajit, but again Indrajit is confused. He does not know whether he'll be happy or she'll be happy. Even Manasi also again gets a doubt whether their friendship will die after marriage. Okay, whatever love they have at this time, whether that will also die after marriage, we don't know. So life seems to be dull and boring, mechanical. Everything seems to lose its meaning. So that is how it is mentioned. So writer just comes with this statements. I am tired, I am very tired. Let all these rapid questions be in the mute enveloping darkness. Let me just go to sleep. What's the use of all these words? By fling arguments in the wild winds, I'm sick of reasoning now. So actually we can see the writer voicing out the feelings of Indrajit. So that's why Indrajit's feelings are mentioned through the character, the writer also. So Indrajit feels very tired. He has been asking a number of questions about life, the meaning of life, even the meaninglessness of life. So all those questions he has been asking, and he's not able to find any answer. He has been moving from one job to another. He has been moving from one place to another. He has tried different places, but in spite of all these things, um, that unhappiness, the contentment, discontentment, those things remain. He's not able to go beyond that. Okay, it's as if actually he's limping, going beyond that. So he feels tired of his search. That is how Act 2 ends. Okay, so with that, I'm just ending the lesson. So you can just read those lines. They are highly poetic only. I mean, this is again the hero's search for a meaningful life. So as we have studied in Waiting for Godot, you can see some elements of the absurd theater here. I mean, we just keep on doing one thing after another, but we don't know whether those things are giving any kind of meaning in our life. We are actually trying to find out some meaning in this meaningless life. Okay, so that thing we can see here. So with that, I'm just stopping my lecture. So students, all of you listen. This play is interesting only, so try to read the play, listen to the recorded lectures. Okay, take care.